This week's parsha, Ve'ela ha-mishpatim asher tasim lifneihem. And these are the mishpatim which are put in front of us. So Chazal, or rabbis tell us, Ve'ela. It says Ve'ela, in contrast to the beginning of the 5th book, Eila hadvarim. These are the words. So our rabbis tell us, Eila is always starting something new. Posel et harishonim. While Ve'ela is a continuation. What's the continuation? First the Torah goes into talking about the laws of how to treat an Eved Ivri, etc. And in fact, it's nothing to do with slavery as during the time of when Lincoln freed the slaves. That the Torah was never condoning. This is a totally different type of slavery. And the Torah tells you how to treat an Eved so good that we're concerned he's not even going to leave at the end. I want to stay longer. And if you have steak, you have to give him steak. If you don't have a pillow, you have to give it to him. There's so many laws going out of the way how to treat an Eved servant properly. In fact, as the Rav explains, the Torah gives an example of a lower class, when someone who's more apt to be not treated properly, he's not looked up highly in society. And from here, when it comes to the laws of an Eved, how much more so everyone else how we have to treat each other properly. But the Torah goes on, Ve'elo Mishpatim, and deals with the laws of Eved Ivri, and basically goes into many of the civil laws. What's Ve'elo? What did we have last week? So that's Parshas Yisro, the portion of the Aseres Hadibros, the 10 statements, the 10 sayings. And Chazal tell us, just like the Aseres Hadibros were given at Har Sinai, the kolos who were brought in with all the thunder, lightning, the shofar blowing, so too the Mishpatim. The same Mishpatim were given on Har Sinai as well. The Mishpatim, as we know, they're basically two categories of commandments. Commandments ben Adam lamakom and commandments ben Adam lechaveiro. Commandments between man and God, and commandments ben Adam lechaveiro, interpersonal. In fact, that's what we mentioned many times. The Aseres Hadibros were given on 2 tablets. Why 2 tablets? Why not 10 tablets? Why not 1 tablet? Because it represents the 2 different categories. The first 5 represent commandments ben Adam lamakom, between man and God, belief in God, not to worship idols, not to say God's name in vain, to Shabbos, honoring one's parents. And then on the other 5 we have commandments ben Adam lechaveiro, not to murder, not to commit adultery, not to steal, kidnap, not to give false testimony, not to covet someone else's wife, property, etc. So we see the 2 categories. So that's what so we know. And why was Kibbutz Avim? It seems to be on the wrong category, on the wrong side. And no, we know, as the Gemara tells us in Kedushin, we have 3 creators: God, Mommy, and Daddy. And therefore, it's a perfect transition from commandments ben Adam lamakom and ben Adam lechaveiro. In fact, that's why Chazal tell us that he said the Aseres Hadibros in a single utterance. It was it was impossible for a human being to comprehend. And later on, he repeated it again. What was the purpose of doing it in one utterance? We don't believe in miracles for the sake of miracles. That's other religions, not Judaism. So what was the point of the miracle? So Chazal tell us to don't think that one part of the Aseres Hadibros is more important than any other part. They're all equal. And therefore they're all given in one utterance. So we see that's the concept Chazal telling us, Ve'ela, the little vav. How are our laws different than the laws of the Gentiles, the non-Jews, the man-made laws, the civil laws? Even when it comes to ben Adam lechaveiro, it's Ve'ela. The difference is, those laws are also given at Har Sinai. Those laws are God-made as well. Because we know what happens when basically we leave it to man-made laws. The Holocaust didn't happen that long ago. that these great philosophers, or Selevan used to always say, these great philosophers, professors in Europe, they used to give the tremendous drushes on Ben Adam Mechaveru, how to treat people properly, etc. And then as the political climate changed, and then these same professors are the ones talking about the final solution. So we don't have a man-made, if you just have a man-made society, so you like chocolate ice cream, I like vanilla. But it's just a matter of opinion. That's when it comes to Ben Chaveru in Judaism, it's not that way. The same way God tells us to keep Shabbos, kosher, etc. The same way He tells us how to treat an Eved, how to treat a widow, an orphan, etc. And they come from the same source. In fact, as the Mishnah tells us, in Payback are laws about ethics. And it talks about how to treat each other properly and even go above what is required to do even more than that. So it's very interesting. How does the Mishnah begin? Moshe Kivel Torah Misinai U'Mesora Lo Shua. Before it gets into the laws, it gives me an introduction that Moshe received the Torah Har Sinai and gave it to Yoshua, to Zakanim, etc. Why is that relevant here? Why is the Torah giving me laws? Why is the Gemara, before telling me laws of ethics, telling me that Moshe Kivel Torah Misinai? And it's the same Yisod. The Bartanur always explains, is to teach me that even when it comes, you might think ethics, I'll decide what's right, what's wrong, this is a nice thing. No, even when it comes to B'Adam Chaveru, in fact, even more so, Moshe Kivel Torah Misinai. That's Ve'ela. The Vav HaMachaber is teaching me that the same way the Torah was given, with all the kolos and brakim and shofar, and given by God, so too as well the Ben Adam Mechaveru, all the Mishpatim, the whole parasha of Mishpatim, and all the Torah which talks about civil and criminal manners, that's also from Har Sinai. So it's interesting to know that the first mitzvah given after Har Sinai was the mitzvah of Eved Ivri, how to treat a servant. It's a little ironic, is because I would have thought the Jews just left Egypt and crossed over the Kriyas Yamsuf, and not that long ago they were slaves themselves. So I would think one mitzvah they know is how to treat slaves properly. I would have maybe put it at the end, not that it shouldn't be in there, but the first mitzvah given after Har Sinai is the mitzvah how to treat slaves. It seems a little strange that this one mitzvah I would have thought that they would have known. So the commentators explain, Zalman Zaretskin and others, that no, that's Torah knows the human psychology. And we see it all the time in the world. All these nations where they're having rebellions and revolts, and they claim, well, we're doing it for the citizens, we're doing it for the people. And it's true, they're living under terrible persecution and a dictatorship. Yet these same people, when they take over, they even treat the people even worse. It's kind of like payback. I put in my time, I suffered, and now I'm going to take advantage of you the same way those people took advantage of me, and you do it even worse. The Torah was aware, God was aware of our psychology since He created us. And therefore, specifically, when we begin the Torah right after Har Sinai, and He starts giving us the mitzvahs, that's the first mitzvah that has to be done, because that's the most dangerous. That we went through it, and therefore we have to go out of our way now and fight our human nature to say, well, I was treated so bad, now it's payback time. Then no. You have to go out of your way, and the Torah emphasizes all the details of how to treat an Eved properly. That's why some explain why Eved Ivri, the laws of Avdus, of slaves, is the first mitzvah given after Har Sinai. And one of the laws of an Eved Ivri is that, as we pointed out, the owner has to treat him very well. So good that we're concerned that he might want to stay. Not that we encourage him to stay, we do not want him to stay. However, if he wants to, so he has to pierce his ear, and there's a whole process. And he has to go through a process of piercing an ear. Why an ear? Why not other parts of the body? We know today we have piercing all over. So Chazal tell us, the Gemara in Kedushin tells us, and Chav Beis, that Rabbi Yochanan tells us, because this it's the ear that heard it at Har Sinai, different versions of it. The ear that heard it at Har Sinai, that you are avadim, you are slaves to me, but not to anyone else. Avada, it's like we explained by Hallel. The reason why there's no Hallel on Purim, because you went from only Avdei Hashem and not Avdei Paro. So too, should we say Shalom Asani Aved, that we shouldn't be Avadim? So too, so Rabbi Yochanan learned over here, that's why the ear that heard that, and you went ahead and were becoming a servant to someone else, so therefore we pierced the ear. So why dafka the ear? Why, when it comes to an Eved Ivri, if he stays, the ear that heard not to be slaves, you went ahead and did it. So what's so special about the ear? Because Gemara tells us in Baba Kama, when it talks about chopping off someone's limbs, so it has a payment. You have to chop off an arm, you have to pay a certain amount. And each limb you have to pay accordingly. If someone caused someone to become deaf, so then you pay for the entire body. So what's so special about the ear? Rabbeinu Yonah writes in Shari Tshuva, is the reason why the ear is so special is because the ear is the body that could change a person, what you hear, whether it's to be uplifted, to get chizek, to get musar, to get tochacha. It's the ear is the thing that is the limb that transforms you. By Yishma Yisro, the Yisro actually heard, he heard, and he was able to change and transform himself. And in fact, that's what the problem is. When you become an Eved, you become a slave. Even if you're a slave to Rav Moshe Feinstein or Rav Yaakov, to different Gedolim, it might be good for you, but ultimately you don't control your own destiny. You work for someone else, you can't transform yourself. It's not your time anymore. And that's the crime of becoming an Eved, is you lose what they call your Kolach Hashemiyah, your Kolach, the ability to hear and change. In fact, there's a famous kasha they ask. We know when it comes to a Ben Sora, a Mora, a rebellious child, so it says, Nida al Shem Sofa, you kill him now, but what's going to happen later? But the story with Yishmael, Basher Husham, that they wanted to kill Yishmael, they said, no, we have to judge him right now, he's fine. So what's the difference? How come when it came to the Ben Sora Mora, Nida al Shem Sofa, but when it came to Yishmael, Basher Husham, so the Mizrahi answers because a Ben Sora Mora started to do bad. However, Yishmael didn't do anything wrong. However, Ramat Solomon and others explain that no, the difference is the Ben Sora Morer, they lost their Kolach Hashmiya. That they don't listen, ain't no Shameya Bakola, they don't listen to their parents anymore, there's no chance, no more changing. But Yishmael was, in fact, he did tshuva, he listened to him about his wife, and that's the Kolach. And that's why we pierce the ear, because the ear is the Kolach that could change you, and therefore when you're an Eved, you no longer have that ability.